The world has no sound but the scream of the wind. It is a solid thing, a wall of razor ice and snow that tears the breath from Arn's lungs before he can draw it. He leans into the gale, a broad, powerful form reduced to a mere silhouette against the blinding white. Behind him, huddled in the meager shelter his body provides, Isha clutches their child, Nima. The girl is a small, shivering bundle of furs. Her whimpers stole a moment, they leave her lips, relentless and absolute, its teeth sinking deep into their bones. They have been walking since the sun failed to appear this morning, separated from their clan when the sky fell in a sudden, catastrophic fury. The familiar calls of their kin, the faces of brothers and cousins, were swallowed by the white wall in an instant, leaving only the three of them, a solitary island of life in a world determined to scour them from its face. This is the unforgiving calculus of prehistoric life. To be alone is to be dead. Arn's fate, wrapped in thick hides, are numb things he can no longer feel. He stumbles, catching himself on a spear shaft already coated in a sheath of ice. He knows they cannot last another hour. To stop is to freeze. To continue is to wander into oblivion. His gaze sweeps the chaos, searching for a landmark, a sign, anything but the suffocating monotony of the blizzard. And then he sees it, a dark slash against the white, a gnarled, wind-beaten pine. Each shape is familiar to him as the scars on his own hands. He knows this place. His heart hammers against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat of terror and a sliver of desperate hope. He turns, his face a mask of wind-burned skin and ice-caked beard, and meets his eyes. They are wide with a fear that mirrors his own. He does not need words. He points with a numb hand toward the ridge behind the tree. She understands immediately. Her body goes rigid. Her grip on Nima tightens. The cave. The place the clan avoids. The place spoken of in hushed grunts around the fire. A lair of the great Ursus Spelios. A beast not of flesh and blood, but a breathing mountain. A god of slumber and fury. To enter its home was a taboo deeper than any other. But then she looks down at the child in her arms. Nima's shivering has become weak, her small body fading. The choice is not between safety and danger. The arc of hominid history is written in moments like this, a ledger of impossible choices. The choices between a certain grave in the snow and a possible one in the dark. Isha gives a slow, deliberate nod, the gesture at Riti's sign between her and her loaf. Arn turns back toward the ridge, his path now set. They will seek shelter in the belly of the beast. The instincts of these ancient humans are honed by 1,000,000 years ago of survival, and every one of them screams that this is madness. But the instinct to protect their child is older and stronger. The entrance to the cave is a maw that swallows the blizzard's roar, replacing it with a profound, tomb-like silence. For a moment, there is only the sound of their own ragged breathing and the drip, drip, drip of melting ice somewhere in the dark. The air is heavy, thick with the smell of damp earth, old decay, and something else, something alive, musky, and immense. Arn takes a single, slow step inside, his spear held low. Isha follows, pressing his face into her shoulder to muffle any sound. The family moves not like hunters, but like ghosts, their feet barely whispering over the stone floor. Their world has shrunk to this bubble of fragile quiet. As their eyes adjust to the gloom, they see it. It is not an animal. It is a geological feature. A mountain of dark fur and dormant muscle occupying the entire rear of the cavern. The cave bear, its head, vast as a boulder, is tucked beneath a forelimb armed with claws like shards of obsidian. With every exhalation, a slow, deep rumble vibrates through the very stone beneath their feet, a sound so low it is felt more than heard. A faint mist of warm air puffs from its nostrils, a testament to the furnace of life banked within its colossal form. The beast is deep in the profound sleep of torpor, a state of suspended animation that holds the winter at bay. But its presence is absolute, a sleeping god whose dreams dictate the laws of this new, terrifying universe. This is the challenge that defines the existence of ancient humans, to survive not just the elements, but the monsters that rule them. They establish their refuge in a small alcove near the entrance, as far from the slumbering giant as possible while still benefiting from the cave's shelter. Every action is weighed, measured, and executed with agonizing care. When one needs to nap a new edge on a flint scraper, he does so with slow, muffled taps, the sound lost in the rhythmic thunder of the bear's breathing. When Isha builds a fire, it is a tiny, smokiest thing, fed with dried twigs one at a time, its light a timid flicker against the overwhelming darkness. Nima, a child of the open tundra, learns the new language of silence. A hand from her mother, a look from her father, a finger to the lips. This is her world now. Her play is the silent tracing of patterns in the dirt. Her laughter is a ghost in her throat. Their life becomes a rhythm, a dance of survival choreographed by the slow, metronomic breath of the creature in the dark. They are prisoners and petitioners, living on stolen warmth and borrowed time, their entire existence a whisper in a sleeping god's ear. The story of human evolution is not one of grand battles, but of these infinite, terrifying moments of quiet ingenuity. It begins with a change in the light. For days the cave mouth has been a wall of churning grey. Now a pale, watery spear of sunlight cuts through the gloom, illuminating a billion swirling dust motes. It is the first sign of hope, and the first toll of a death knell. The shift in the world outside is mirrored by a change in the world within. The great bear's breathing, for so long a steady, geological rhythm, loses its cadence. It becomes a series of shallow, stuttering inhalations, followed by a long groaning sigh that seems to carry the weight of a frozen eon. On freezes a piece of half-chewed dried meat halfway to his mouth. He locks eyes with Isha. The unspoken understanding passes between them in a heartbeat. The god is stirring. A tremor runs through the mountain of fur. A colossal furrow, a pillar of muscle and matted hair, twitches in its sleep, the obsidian claws scraping against the stone with a sound like a tombstone being dragged. The family is no longer just quiet. Then comes the sound that shatters their fragile world, a low guttural moan from the back of the beast's throat. It is not a sound of aggression, but of deep, ancient weariness. The sound of the vast engine of its life reluctantly turning over. The head, a boulder of a thing, lifts an inch from the floor. One knows they have only moments. He makes a slow, deliberate gesture with his hand. Out, now. Isha, her face a pale mask, gathers the sleeping Nima into her arms without a sound. The child's weight a precious, terrifying burden. She begins a ghost-like retreat toward the light. One moves to follow, his body a shield between his family and the awakening horror. He takes one step, then another. And then a loose stone shifts under his foot. The clack is impossibly loud in the cavern's silence. In the darkness, two small, wet eyes snap open, depthless pools of ancient instinct. The great head rises fully. The beast is not yet angry, merely aware. Its awareness is a physical force, a pressure that threatens to crush them. Arn shoves Isha forward. He doesn't make a sound, but his action is a roar. Go! He raises his spear, not as a weapon to be used against a mountain, but as a focal point of distraction. This is the brutal calculus of his love, a court ruth of his love, a court ruth of hominid history, one life, weighed against her, unfolding itself from the cavern floor, growing larger and larger until it blots out the darkness, a true monster of the Pleistocene world. As Isha and Nimas crumble out into the blinding snow, Arn holds its gaze for one more terrifying second, then turns and sprints for the light, the first roar of the fully awakened bear shaking the very foundations of the earth behind him. They do not stop running. They plunge into the knee-deep snow, the clean, freezing air a shock after the cave's stale breath. They are alive. They are together. They have stared into the abyss and the abyss has let them go. The family's escape from the cave is more than a single act of survival. It is a microcosm of their species' entire, improbable journey. They did not conquer the beast. They did not defeat the storm. They used their minds to endure a power their bodies could never overcome, turning a monster's lair into a nursery, a tomb into a womb. This is the secret weapon of these human ancestors, the ability to see sanctuary where others see only death, to measure the breath of a sleeping god and gamble an entire lineage on its rhythm. They are a flicker of defiant intelligence in a world of brute force, and that flicker is destined to one day become a flame that will remake the world. How many of our own instincts, our own fierce loyalties and calculated risks, are but the echoes of a family fleeing a dark cave, their hearts pounding with the terror and triumph of having stolen life from the very jaws of winter?